Good morning, afternoon or evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phoenix Project. You're watching Feebrod TV. And you're probably thinking, Feebrods, how come the weather's so crap today? And it might be because England once ran this show, and if you know England, England's got some shocking weather. So let me give you a bit of history. This video is going to be a crap ton of history, so I hope you're prepared. Back in the 1800s, can't remember the dates, that's going to be a common theme of this video. I'm not going to remember any dates. All you need to know is the facts. Back in the 1800s, Britain wanted tea. They love a good bit of tea down in England. And you know who did tea really, really well? China. China did tea really well, and they still do tea really well. But Britain didn't have anything that China wanted besides from silver. So there was a fair trade going on there. It was all G's, all calm, all peaceful. Life is breezy. However, then Britain stopped having enough silver. So what are they going to do? How are they going to trade with this necessary tea? But you know what Britain did have instead of silver? They had opium. Opium's a drug. It's not good. So they started trading it with rural parts of China for silver. So visual demonstration. Opium, Britain, giving it in to China. China giving Britain silver. Britain then giving China, big China, silver for the tea. Obviously China was not happy about that when they found out, because their Chinese folks were turning into drug addicts. It was not good. So then Opium War started. Britain somehow, against big old China, won the Opium War and hence got Hong Kong Island over there. Around 18 years later, a second Opium War started. The Brits, they just don't learn, do they? But they won again. Britain now had Hong Kong Island, they had Kowloon Island, but they didn't have all the way up top until later on, because they realized if a war were to go down, they're gonna need the whole of Hong Kong. So they made a deal with China, a 99-year deal with China to have the whole of Hong Kong. And that's what we're gonna explore today, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna explore what would Hong Kong be like if there wasn't no 99 deal and it was still the Brits. Cold intro. Top 10 cold intros of 2025. All right, it's gonna be a good one. Let's explore. The first ever Star Ferry. The second, the third, and now the fourth. We're now getting the Star Ferry over to Central. The Star Ferry served as, and still serves, as a very important way to get across islands. But we're gonna discuss in a minute about the difference between Kowloon Island, which we're on now, and Central Island, which we're on our way to. I have a feeling I'm about to miss a ferry. Oh my days, oh my days, oh my days, oh my days. Thank you. All right, so Kowloon back in the day was the poorer part of Hong Kong. It was so poor, in fact, that had, you might have heard about the Kowloon Walled City, one of the densest cities on earth at the time, where some parts, when you went into the middle, you couldn't even see daylight. And those were for the poorer people in Hong Kong. But this was the poor of the poor. We're now going to Central, where there was such a big difference between the poor and the rich in Hong Kong. But I'm no scientist, but I have a feeling the difference in economic wealth came because Britain owned Hong Kong Island first. And then they might have just seen Kowloon as just like a, brother. Once again, no scientist. Pulled that out of my backside, but maybe it's right. So despite the very, very cheap price of this ferry, and how it's always been cheap, Hong Kong was considered one of China's 4 tigers back in the day. Now, once again, no idea about numbers. So let me give you an example. If China's GDP was 1 billion back in 1970, Hong Kong made up like 250 million of that. So China was loving a good bit of Hong Kong, but it wasn't theirs. Nowadays, however, if China's GDP is 1 billion. Hong Kong's percentage is maybe 1 to 2 million of it. That's how much China has grown since back in the day of like 1970. So now so much they don't really care, because China's rapid growth of like technology and cities and everything is shown. I mean, you go up to Shenzhen, 20 years ago it was a fishing village. Now it's one of the highest technologically advanced cities in the world. So China's GDP right now is something crazy like 30 trillion, because all of their cities are like that. But right now, because Hong Kong is not in China's control, Hong Kong's not so fastly, rapidly growing. So it's going to be interesting when China do get Hong Kong, how quickly Hong Kong's just going to grow. It's not like Hong Kong's a poor, bad city in terms of technology. It's just, it's like normal. Whereas China is just on a different level right now. I'm like turning into Mrs. Boddington right now. Hong Kong was owned by Britain for a very, very long time. When it came to the 99-year lease being over, obviously Britain wanted to keep running the show in Hong Kong. But China were very, very like, oh hell nah, that's not happening. So hence came China almost owning Hong Kong. But right now nobody owns Hong Kong actually. It's a special administrative region because Britain said to the Chinese leaders, we want Hong Kong to be its own until I think it's about 2040. We want them to live the same life that they were living when they were with us. We want them to have the same parties that we have as government parties. We want them to have the same lifestyle, all of that. They were like, let Hong Kong be. And surprisingly, China agreed. So right now, Hong Kong is a special administrative region, but hence came a lot of drama because China wanted it a lot earlier than they should have. So that's a really small part about what the 2019 protests were about if you saw it on the news. Seems like Britain really respected Hong Kong, but that is until you see the huge, huge wealth gap that there was and there still kind of is. We're in Central now, we're heading over to Hollywood Road in the main part of Central. We are now in mid-levels, as you can tell by the fat escalators. What now serves as quite like a good middle ground of wealth, I don't know, was not like that at all. This is where a large part of the Cantonese people and poor people as well would live. This was not as fancy and built up as it once was. It was all like market stalls, it was all like sheds, it was all back-end stores. We're now on our way to a cha-cha teng, which, you know, like, it just wouldn't be a Fibro TV video without. But we're going to the oldest, or as Google says, the oldest cha-cha teng in Hong Kong, Lan Fong Yuan. I'm excited. I love a good cha-cha teng. They're infamous for their Hong Kong style milk tea, which we'll explain how legendary that is in a second. I can't tell. I'm just gonna go on. Lei ho, yake. Không có xài. Chú lấy hồ. Không có xài. I mean, this is the vibes we're going for. Oh, I love a good cha-cha teng. Sorry. Alright, what are we having? Bro, I've obviously been given the English guilo table because look, I've got a picture book as a menu. Bro, they don't know. They don't know me. Oh, I know what I'm getting. Okay. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not reading this off my phone right now, but Lan Fong Yuan has been open since 1952. That was when, like, this is authentic. You know what I mean? It's not one of those new cha-cha tangs with the QR code, the phone. No. This is proper local vibes. This would have been here when the huge wealth gap was a thing. So I'm going to be having what the local Cantonese people had like 100 years, 70 years ago. I'm hyped. like, it doesn't look the nicest. And this adds up perfectly to what I'm going to say next. Cha tengs were made local style cafes. They were originally called bintang, which translates to ice room. I don't know why it was called ice room, to be honest, but they were to serve as Hong Kong. Thank you. They were to serve so Hong Kong local Cantonese people who lived in the poor areas could have a taste of what the high-end Brits were having. Because whilst the Brits were having fancy tea, fancy macaroni up in their high peak houses, Hong Kong people couldn't do that because the Brits stole all of their jobs. So, cheers Brits. Right now we have got macaroni tomato soup with egg and pork chop. Like, where else are you getting that realistically? Macaroni obviously is the British thing here, I suppose. It's actually Italian, but it was like I guess it was a cheaper version of what British people were having. Not too sure, to be honest, but it's a local delicacy. If you watch my HKU video, you would know to thank Mario for this meal. If you haven't watched it, you're a loser. Oh my days, that's so good. In Hong Kong, local people like myself say ho ho mei. So I need to find someone. Ho ho mei,唔該晒. Ho ho mei, 唔該. You know what I hate? I hate saying local things that make me sound like a local, and then they speak to me more and I don't know what they're saying. So yeah, this is a banger. This is a banger. Oh my days, when you haven't had breakfast all day, this hits. This hits. Like, they have some pretty random combos. Tomato soup, macaroni, egg and pork chop. Wouldn't be on my bucket list, but it's a banger. Oh my days, when you come here with like a local person, like a local friend or something, it's a different level of experience. Because they just treat you to like what they know is banging. You know what I mean? I only know about this because Mario, when I went to HKU, told me this was a banger. And it's a banger. But more importantly, and more on tea, is the Hong Kong style milk tea. There's not really much to describe about it. British people love tea. Hong Kong people couldn't afford it back in the day, so they made their own version. I'll show you how they make it in a second. But it's a cheaper version with condensed milk and normal milk and like a weird way of making the tea. And it's a different leaf or something like that. But it's a banger. Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. Now they would also have like bread and stuff, which I'll probably get as well. But yeah, it's probably interesting to see that whilst the Brits were living large in the peninsula and like having their scones and stuff, this is what they were having. And I would say arguably this is better than like a bit of jam scone and stuff. Ooh, a jam scone is good though. But I would say these two in general are better than an English breakfast tea and jam scones. Most cha tengs are usually family owned, unless you go to the big branded ones like Milk Cafe or Hong Kong Day. They're usually family owned, and I don't know, it just has like a nice feeling to a cafe when it's family owned. I don't know about you guys, but to think that this place has been family owned for like 70 years, 7-0, that's intense. I've literally got a note on my phone about Cantonese sayings, and they're all based on cha tengs and like what I've learned from that. Like, look, these are all Cantonese words, just and they're all food. Like, they're not, besides from delicious, they're all food orders. I've been here for like 11 to 12 years,
This is my favorite place. Not this place specifically, but chaan teng in general. It's one of my favorite parts about Hong Kong because you get good food, which I love. You get funny people, which I love. And you just get good vibes, which I love. And cheapness. I'm gonna find out how much this is in a second, but I think it's only like 70 bucks. Yeah. This is interesting. Before the 19th century, they used Spanish silver coins, Chinese coins, and GBP, British pound sterling. Interesting. Ironically, as I was talking about like how the Cantonese people, Hong Kong people down these ends would have like bread and stuff, I've gone for French toast. Nothing to do with Britain, or at least I don't think it is. And if it was popular back in the day, obviously I have to try some French toast. It's not because I want to, it's a business decision. Like, oh, I can't believe you guys are making me eat this French toast. Like, all my days. Oh, I hate French toast. Sayosi. Insane. It's probably insane for like your kidneys and stuff as well. But oh my god. Like the maple syrup. Like the maple syrup, the butter, once again, it never does it justice on this camera. I'm just saying, if I was in the Hong Kong ends back in the day, the local ends, and like my life sucked because I was like living in some poor conditions, every day I would have this. It would just make my day. It's just made my day right now. Oh my god. That's incredible.
This here is what it's known for. Now, in no way whatsoever is that the best place I've been to in my life. But like, if it was that good, and it's not even the best place I've been to, it just shows you how freaking next level chaan tengs are. So, if you are a tourist coming to Hong Kong, there are better chaan tengs to go to. That's all I'm saying. That place is insanely good. But there are go to find like a more local one, is what I'm trying to say. Well, in what has turned into quite a grim day, we are now on our way to check out whether what I've been saying is facts or is it waffle. We are now on our way to the Hong Kong Museum of History in Hong Kong, Tsim Sha Tsui. It's freezing. It's freezing, so I'm hoping it's a bit warmer in the museum. I mean, that is just the best view in your entire life, realistically. We're now in the Hong Kong Museum of History for free. Oh, I just tripped over. Britain fell to Japan, which like never would your wildest dreams. No video, okay, no problem. Alright, well I did try film for you guys, but there were just security in every single room. But are you guys ready for some bombshells of history? Because that's what you're about to get. I'll be honest, mostly in that Museum of History, it's a huge China history. There's only tiny bits about Hong Kong, which is a bit disappointing to not see much about Hong Kong in the Hong Kong Museum of History. It is a big Chinese history museum, but there are parts of Hong Kong. A big part that I saw was the Japanese in Hong Kong. So in around 1940, Japan took over Shenzhen and Guangdong, which is literally just up the road from Honky Donkey Bonkies. Being just up the road, they obviously wanted more. So, Britain ran the show back in Hong Kong. They had all of their military situations in Kai Tak Airport. So what Japan did, they bombed the airport. They destroyed all of the British military stuff that they needed, and hence, Japan then took over Hong Kong on the 25th of December. It was a pretty crap Christmas day for Hong Kong in 1941. Then 1945, Japan obviously surrendered because of the huge Hiroshima bombs. So they surrendered all the places that they had, Shenzhen, Guangdong, and of course they surrendered Hong Kong. And because also Hong Kong was a refugee spot for Chinese mainlanders, they all got sent home when the Japanese took over. And they got sent home back to Shenzhen and Guangdong, who was already under military from the Japanese. So they went from worse to worse. So I thought that was quite interesting. Quite cruel, but quite interesting. Now, if you're anything like Feebrods, you're probably wondering, in Honky Donkey Bonkies, why are there so many gold stores? Why are there so many jewelry stores? What is their obsession with gold? Well, I'm gonna tell you. It's not really to do with the British, I don't think. But California gold rush. You know about it? If you don't, I'm gonna tell you about it. A little town in California saw a bunch of gold come out of a river one day. And hence everybody and their mothers wanted to go to this California gold rush because that's where all the money was at. Everybody and their mothers also included Hong Kong. So Hong Kong, small little country, set off to California on a boat in around the 1815s, something like that. Don't really need to know the dates, just need to know it happened. And they set off, went to go get some gold, and hence you hear about like all the pirate stories in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong came back with heaps of gold and then the pirates wanted it. So that's why when you go Chung Chau, that's why it even calls it Bay, and you hear about the pirates, now you know why. I don't think that gold is from the California gold rush. That would be cool, but I just thought I'd bring it up. The Peninsula Hotel. Reasons of significance. On December 25th, 1941, back to Japan again. The Brits, the British leader in Hong Kong at the time, went up to Japan, who was staying here, and was just like, we surrender, brother, Merry Christmas. And then Japan was happy, but that they also do a banging breakfast and a banging morning tea. So if you're ever around, and if you got bank after bank, I don't, head over there. It would be interesting to see whether in there they've got the room where the British Don said to the Japanese Don, we surrender. That would be interesting. Peninsula Hotel, but like when you think of Britain and Hong Kong, I kind of immediately think about that building. Just, I know, it just looks posh, and it is posh. So it was December 8th, Japan infiltrated Hong Kong, and then it was December 25th that Britain were like, hell nah, and were like, you can have Hong Kong. So within 2 weeks, Hong Kong was handed over to Japan. Must have been intense, those 2 weeks. Must have been intense. This road right here, you wouldn't have thunk it. The road that goes all the way down there, all the way down there. This was once the invisible border between Hong Kong people and British people. The poorer class lived down there, where we just went to the teng, and then the richer people lived up here, and this goes all the way up to the Peak, where the Peak and Repulse Bay have the richest houses in the whole of Hong Kong. Whilst these buildings kind of serve as an upper middle class these days, and up there still all the richos live up there, and even just anywhere in Central, you kind of got to be upper middle class. I'm taking a break, I'm a bit out of breath. These hills are steep. Anyway, you can still kind of see the three separate classes that there were in Honky Donkeys. The super duper rich, which is up in the Peak and Repulse. The middle class, the upper middle class, which is around here in Causeway Bay and Hong Kong Island really in general. And then the poorer class nowadays is over in Kowloon Island, where we just were, where all the cage homes are, where all the people are living in some pretty tough conditions up in Sham Shui Po and Mong Kok. And that's just because the house expenses, or the cost of living in Hong Kong for apartments and houses and stuff, is ridiculous. The food and the activities may seem a little cheap, but don't let that fool you from the apartments and stuff. It's like, it's either 1 or 2 in the world to Singapore or something. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting though. That wasn't like a significant proper border, but it was the invisible line that proved the difference between the scone eaters and the cha cha tang eaters. Anyway, we are now in this prison place. I'm gonna find out the name right now. Tai Kwun, we're at, which was the old prison center back in the days of the Brits. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't know anything about this place. So it's gonna be a finding out together type situation. Bit romantical. I mean, I'd go as far as saying this was like a prison. I thought it was like a prison museum, but no. This looks like a proper prison. Ho Chi Minh's view. I was just in Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh, the dude that high key saved Vietnam, came to Hong Kong in 1930 to escape prosecution by the French dons. And he was captured by Hong Kong and was put in here. That's proper wicked. That's proper wicked. Oh, this has got interesting. Oh my days, I can barely fit my huge frame in here. It's because I'm huge and I'm wham. That is so sick. I didn't know this was an actual prison. I thought it was just a museum. Oh hell no. Those are the toilets. Oh no. That's next level wicked to think that amidst this chaos back in the day, this was a prison yard. Like what the hell? That's so... I honestly, I didn't even mean to come across this place. I'm so glad I did though. Alright, so I just spoke with this legend of a lady who told me that this place has been open since like the 1850s. And if you notice here, she was... and I asked, has anybody tried to escape? Because, you know, that's just sick. If you notice here, these bricks, all similar. Then you get up there, they're a bit different. Then you get up there, and they're very different. They had to keep building it higher and higher because because this was the courtyard, people just tried to escape. Like, talk about interesting. This place has been worth it. I'm just not even gonna take the piss. This place has been sick. For real, for real. I would go here. If you're new to Honky Donkey Bonkies, come here. Well, another piece of sick history that talking about the Japanese, which we've done a lot this video. It would be very interesting to go to Japan one day and just do another vlog. Stay tuned. Anyway, when the Japanese took over Hong Kong, they used this place, the courtyard, and they used all the buildings as places for the dead corpses. I don't know why I'm smiling, that's not cool. But that is just wicked. So this place was a prison since 1840, and then when Japan took over in 1941, it was just pretty much a dead body site. I mean, the peak, you can just barely see it here. It's home to some big boy houses, pretty much. It is there's a house up there, the most expensive house in Hong Kong, $456 million US. Up in the peak, it's proper fancy. It's where, yeah, it's fancy. Right now, but I don't know about you guys, but I just love the history of a country and the history of a place and the history of the people. And I just like proper fun. Like if I had a time travel machine, I would use it. Because I just wonder how cool and interesting it would be to live in Hong Kong or to live in any of the other countries and cities when this history was going down. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be significant for it to be called history. And like some of these like World War II was 6 years, 5 years. It was 5 or 6 years. And even when Japan infiltrated Hong Kong, that was 2 weeks. Like, what would it have been like living in Hong Kong for those 2 weeks? It's just like proper weird. Weird, it's interesting, it's sick. I was saying to myself that if they were to make another GTA after this, Hong Kong would be so sick. Like it would just be so sick. Like, and it's realistic as well. Like if you do it in somewhere like Ho Chi Minh, the alleyways and stuff, that would just be dope. But like Hong Kong's realistic. Like it's got all these small paths, and then you go over more to new territories. It's got all the beaches, and like it's got all these highways, it's got all the buildings. It'd be so sick. Why do they have to keep it in America, man? Government house. Wow. So in here is the government house. That's so sick. I've actually never... Go inside, bye-bye. I've never actually seen that in real life before. I feel it's self-explanatory. Government house. I have a feeling the government were in there. Not much else to say. There are many vibes going on with it right now, as you maybe would have seen from that front picture. Because it had 3 occupants in it, it had the British, it had the Japanese, and it had the Hong Kong, which is now. It's got hella vibes to it. It's got like those roofs kind of look like Japanese vibes. The white plainness are kind of Hong Kong vibes. It's a mix. It's a mix. I'm no architect, so I couldn't tell you what is what, but it's cool. 3 different countries have been occupying this place before. Proper wicked. That weird little spaceship thing up there, that looks like it's got a machine gun at the top, is the HSBC building. HSBC is obviously a British powerhouse of a bank, and funnily enough, this place, well, it's not even there anymore, what the hell? This place up there was built in 1865. It doesn't look like it was built in 1865. I'm gonna be honest, it's probably had some next level renovations. But 1865, did not see that one coming. Now if you want to talk about old in Hong Kong, St. John's Cathedral, since 1849. If you go to England, there's at least 1 million of these churches called St. John's. All looks like it's under renovation. But cathedrals are just so beautiful. How has this been open since 1849? How? This place would have seen so much. Like all of these buildings wouldn't have been here in 1849, but this place was. What the hell? I just don't even understand how, like, back in the early days, like the 1400s, the 1500s, how people were just like, yeah, I'm gonna get on a boat and I'm just gonna go out to somewhere that I don't know, and then I'm just gonna colonize this entire country. Like, what? Like, seriously? WTF? And then how do they go from colonizing, the city to then building infrastructure in the city, to then populating the city, to then like getting money for the city, all of that? It's like, what? And then like coming back to history, this is one city slash country in one continent in one part of the world. It's like, and now every single country is colonized, or every single country is owned by somebody, and every single country has people in it, every single country has money, every single country has buildings. It's just like, what the hell? How is that possible? I just want to go back in time and see who came up with that idea. How are there governments in place? How are there people in place? I just find it so interesting and so weird. And even like, this is a big question, and this is gonna make your brain go like, what? If we all come, like, geographically, biologically, we all come from, we're descendants of like monkeys and gorillas. And if we went from gorillas into people, why are people still not going from gorillas to people? Somebody please explain that. I could be sounding dumb as shite right now, but I want to know, so do explain. And like, I could go days for days about questions about the earth, but like, how did communication become so good? How did, like, between governments and wars and stuff back in the 1800s, like, how did people know Opium War was going on? Then how do you even get fax machines? How do you get Bluetooth? Like, how? How? Like, how do people know what to do? How do people get that communication across? Oh my days, it honestly boggles with my mind. I reckon it could be busier, but we are now at the, I think it's pronounced Bautista flower or something, but this was where the handover from Britain to China about Hong Kong happened. The situation happened here. And the flower is meant to connote that Hong Kong will forever be blooming. That's poetic. Crazy though. This flower right here, probably one of the biggest parts of Hong Kong's history, if not the biggest. And I think it's getting quite a warm welcome. There's a lot of people here. I don't think I've ever seen this many people at a Hong Kong tourist attraction besides from like Disneyland or something. Alright, solid. Now, the British influenced a lot of things in Hong Kong. They influenced the people, they influenced the food, they influenced just a lot. But they also influenced the buses. Double-decker buses. Now I remember as a kid I was obsessed with buses. Double-decker buses in specific. Because in the small village I grew up in, there weren't even any buses, yet alone double-decker buses. And then I remember going to England for the first time. I remember going to London for a day trip because we're based out in the grassy bit of England. What's that called? The Midlands. We were based out in the Midlands. And I remember going to London for a day trip as a kid, loving double-decker buses and seeing one. I just remember just being so excited about it. Then moved to Hong Kong like 2 years later, and it's just double-decker buses like England everywhere you flip and go. So yeah, that was a huge part influenced by the British, obviously, and the ding-dings as well. The ding-dings are cool, but I just can't find any right now. Now I don't imagine back in the day the trams used to look like this, so pink and so advertised. But when I searched it up, trams were, I thought London, but then I was like, that doesn't really make sense because the double deckers were London. The trams were actually Manchester, so they took that style from Manchester and dropped it into Honky Donkey, and it's still going. That's proper wicked. I think there's still trams in Manchester, but they're just a bit more like upbeat, upgraded. I don't know, but Hong Kong is still very much old styles besides from the advertising board. I thought that was pretty cool. All right. Please stop. Thank you. On to our first tram. You enter the back, which is interesting. But it's actually not that interesting at all, to be honest. Big step. Now I'm gonna stay here because this thing down here, this little pedal, look what happens when I press it. It wasn't that sick at all. In fact, that sucked. But usually it makes a big ding. Today it did not. But like, you can still, I wonder how old, I wonder if they tell you how old these trams are, because this is proper ancient. Like, it's got all the old school styles. Yeah, even the old driving. I wonder how old this tram is. It would be interesting to know. Now I'll give you a good piece of life advice. Come on this tram at like 8 PM, go from like Admiralty to Central, see all the lights and stuff, plug in some noise cancelling music. Vibes, man, vibes. It's like when you're going in Ho Chi Minh or Vietnam or Thailand or somewhere and you're getting one of the motorbike grabs, plug in some headphones whilst you're going on a nighttime ride. Insane vibes, insane. Thank me later. Wow, what a tram ride. As much as I don't really like Hong Kong touristy things, that's like a must do. Like, you gotta go do that. It is interesting in Hong Kong to see the range of prices, and I have no idea whether they're influenced by the Brits or not. But for example, if we're gonna talk in British pounds for a minute, that there was 33p. Literally, I could go from Kennedy Town, which is all the way at this side of Hong Kong Island, to Chai Wan, which is all the way up that island. And I have done that before. You should watch that video, going to every single tram stop. Anyway, I could do that for 33p. 3.3 Hong Kong donkey bonkies. And then in Honky Donkey Bonky, it's actually funny I say this because up there somewhere is the best tassel farm place I've ever had in my life, which is like a roast pork rice place. You can get that for £5. You can't even get like a Mackie D's for £5 in England. And then like you see the huge range up into like apartments being like 10 grand for like 1 square meter. And then the huge up in the peak for like millies. So it's very interesting to see the range of prices in Hong Kong. And I just wonder how much of that was through the British and how much like old stuff used to be. How much it used to cost, you know what I mean? Alright, to end this video. So, if this is Hollywood Road, this is the Hong Kong side, cheap side vibes. We are now crossing the invisible border, which means we are now expensive, which means we are now British. And talking about British and talking about expensive and talking about prices, we are on our way to one of the oldest pubs in Hong Kong. We know the English love a good pub. Some go every single day, it's mental. So I thought, why not experience pub life like it used to be like in the 1990s, just before the handover. So hence we're going to the Globe. This morning we got an experience in the cheaper side of Hong Kong, in the teng, which is literally just down that road on the cheaper side, and literally just a couple meters above it is the Globe, a fancy pub that's been open since the 1990s. So let's get on our way. We're now at the Globe. Ironically, there's just this crap alleyway down here, but this is probably one of the fanciest places I will ever go in my life. So let's go on in, I suppose. Oh, this is nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous. Yeah, it just feels like an old British pub, let's just be honest. 1995 this place has been open since, so still under the British rule. And this is not the oldest pub in the whole of Hong Kong. I just wanted to find one in Central that kind of showed the difference between... I can't believe what I've just done with my hands there. Oh, what an idiot. Anyway, I just wanted to get the difference between rich Hong Kong and poor Hong Kong. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you have learned something today. I certainly have. Just want to say the main information I got today was from Vox and from Google Gemini. So thank you to Google Gemini and thank you to Vox for the source of information, but also thank you to Hong Kong. That prison museum was proper interesting. If I were you, I wouldn't go to the Museum of History because you learn more coming into Central Admiralty Wan Chai vibes. The Museum of History was mainly like a China history type thing. If that interests you, you can go to that. Now I'm going to hit you with a minor wave, I'm going to hit you with a smooch. I do ask that you follow along the journey. I release music and I've got some more coming out within the next couple months, so stay tuned. Please follow along the journey, because I promise you within the next 10 years we're going to explode. Not literally, but metaphorically. Alright, subscribe, like and share the video. I love you very much. Minor wave. Mwah, smooch. Goodbye.